All right. So we call the October 14th Canterbury Planning Board meeting to order. Just note for the minutes that Megan and Josh both could not make it. The first item on the agenda is approval of the September 23rd draft meeting minutes. Anyone's
minutes? Second.
Did you receive, Cal, any suggested changes to those minutes?
Just a couple grammatical ones.
All right, any other changes that people didn't submit? All right, wait, was there a second for the motion?
I did.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That's approved. All right, next up is the pre-conceptual consultation for Hackleboro Road, lot 103, map 08. I got that right. Reversed. Map 8, lot 103. All right. I think I just, map 103, lot 8. The arrow just goes in two directions, so I don't, now I'm super confused. Alright. So Gail, which one is it? It's what map number?
103,
Map 103, okay,
lot 8.
lot 8.
There is no map 8.
Well, that's a surefire way to figure that out then. Alright, are any of the applicants or the owners here today?
Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome to come up to the table and join us. I see Cheryl Dickert is
He's our
remote.
sibling,
Yes.
calling in from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I'm Debbie Samaha, I live in Concord.
I'm Stacy.
Hi.
I live in San Diego.
Whoa, that's a plane ride.
Yeah,
You must be
I'm just
freezing.
here visiting family. But I think we're here because I asked a lot of questions and I was told that it would be a good idea just to come and ask some questions here. So we're trying to learn about the process that would need to be involved to do anything on our property. Our land is owned by 4 siblings. We each have a 25% interest in the land. It's been in our family since the 1940s. Originally, our grandparents were the Moody's that are in the house that the Bassetts own at this point. It's 104 acres, predominantly forest with a field. It's mowed annually by the blinds. We do maple syrup, recreation and hunting. It's in current use. We're working with a forester and we have a forest management plan. And I had called the office because my grandfather had originally had a 3-acre site on this property where there was a sugar house. And he had kept that out of current use because he was hoping at some point that my parents would build a cabin there. Which never happened. So when we took the property over, when grandparents passed, etc., we put the whole thing back in current use. So I did just find out recently that if we wanted to pull that little piece out again for a little structure, that we would have, I think she told me it would be like a $16,000 fee to do that 3-acre piece. So we're just trying to explore how to manage our land and pass it on to our children. There's lots of options like conservation, which we're still exploring also. Subdividing it, and we're trying to get just some ballpark ideas on costs to do any of this, cause I'm an old nurse. My sister, we're not zoning people or engineers or anything like that, so we really don't have any idea of cost. And the only thing we have is a map that was done by Billy Howard back in there's a signature here from the Canterbury Planning Board, December of, it looks like 83. So as far as having a survey of the property, this is all we have. So we were wondering, if this is all we have and it says it was for recording purposes only, does the town of Canterbury have any other things other than this that could be referenced for anything?
So in terms of, if you're talking about one option of dividing it up being a subdivision. Any subdivision would require a fully surveyed plan, because you'll need something that down the road, when those lots get sold, that someone has exact meets and bounds of every lot that's created. And so applicants who come for a subdivision, they have to hire a surveyor
Yeah,
and get a surveyed
Is there
plan.
a time frame that it has to be done within? And in San Diego, you have to have, it has to be less than 6 months old to be able to,
Oh,
is there anything?
I don't know
if we
that
did it now?
Canterbury is that strict. You
Okay.
need to have one that accurately depicts what's on the ground, but if there's no significant changes, it would
Okay,
be up to the board when they look at it, but
so
certainly
there's
I
no
don't have a heartburn.
timeline on that you're aware of, okay. So, do you have, are there surveyors that you work with closely in the town of Canterbury? That you would recommend if somebody wanted to have their property surveyed? Could you give us a list or something if we called the main office?
I think if you called the main office, they could tell you who like most recently has done a number. I don't think that the board though should be
Okay.
recommending a
All right,
surveyor.
but we
But,
we could get some.
I think there are some who show up a lot and they'd be able to tell you that.
Okay. So I'm sure, so first there'd have to be if there was going to be a subdivision, there would have to be a survey done first, and then what is the next step after that?
So if you're planning in terms of a subdivision, and I think there's some other things you can explore, I mean,
Yeah.
we've had to deal with accessory dwelling units, so it could be a situation with, fewer lots, but multiple units per lot where you're not necessarily subdividing. But if it's a subdivision, you have to, what I suggest is take a look at Article 5 of the zoning ordinance, which has the minimum lot size, and so you'd
Okay.
have to, work with your surveyor to come out with a plan on how you want those
Yeah.
lots to fit on the property. Make sure there's enough frontage for each of them, make sure they each hit the minimum acreage, that there's a building envelope of sufficient size in each to site a house.
So with our property, there is a lot of, there's a brook, is it the Burnham Brook, I think, that runs through there and goes through the stone culvert down the road, and that is all, a lot of that is wetlands all along the road frontage. So I saw that you had to have 350 feet of road frontage to have a lot. But what if you have wetlands all along the road there? How does that work?
So it doesn't affect your frontage, just in terms of what you can do, but
Okay,
in terms of then taking the next step of building, if you're gonna put a driveway in through wetland or put your building envelope, the state regulates wetlands, so you'd end up needing, approval from the state and basically to show that you can't do something. If, again, this is why, like, very high level, step one is, have the surveyor work with a wetland scientist.
okay.
I believe our application talks about needing a wetland scientist for the, to survey the whole thing. You can also,
Excuse me, what'd you say?
the wetland scientist would need to look at the whole property, but
Okay.
you can, all of our application requirements, you can potentially ask for a waiver, and it would be up to the board when they look at your application to see if they're gonna grant it. I think there's a world where you could say, these are the areas we're envisioning are the buildable lots and the driveways, and we've had a wetland scientist do all of those, but maybe there's significant back acres that you don't have to necessarily have them delineate all the wetlands. That would have to be you'd make that decision, you'd come to the board would have to review the plan and decide whether or not to grant a waiver on that. You would need to depict where the septics would go on all those plans, which the wetlands become very relevant for that as well.
Right.
so, okay, I have a quick question. So if we just wanted to subdivide but not put building lots, not do any building, but just kind of divide the land so that each person has a piece, is that the same requirements?
So it would be, because part of the problem you run into is once there's a divided lot, then it'd be real hard for any town to say you can't put anything on it, you can't build a house. So as a prerequisite to getting the subdivision, you have to be able to show that it could be used for that residential use, and that's why you show the building envelope on the plan. Now, you could, show some spots a house could be, and ultimately have different locations, but it needs to be that each lot could support, a single family residence if that's the purpose of residential subdivision.
Is there a way, is there a way to subdivide without it being a residential subdivision?
Well,
Or is that-
it doesn't sound like that's what you want. It would be, I mean, you could subdivide for commercial uses, there's other things you could do, but you're in the agricultural zone. I don't see you getting approval for a subdivision where there isn't a house lot on each of
Right.
those, 'cause that's the
Right.
principal.
So kind
use
of
that's
once you make that move to subdivide it. Then all that other wetlands with the state, et cetera, it triggers all of that. Do you have any idea ballpark what costs would be involved to even move initially to a survey and then to working with the state?
I think it can vary about how much you're surveying. I have never worked on a subdivision for 100-acre parcel, so I don't know how much goes into that. I think smaller subdivisions, a surveyed plan is $3,000 to $5,000, but my figure is probably a couple years old at this point. I don't know if it's gotten better. It was like a 3 to 6 month wait to get a surveyor for a lot of them.
I'd imagine that's the sort of thing that they could learn by
Right.
talking to a couple of surveying companies.
I don't know how much work they're gonna have to do. Each lot is different. I mean, if they have to put a lot of effort into their part of it, then
Yeah.
obviously there's a cost relationship. So without seeing the property, without, there's a couple surveyors that live locally that probably are familiar with the property and probably
But-
can have some conversations on the phone and
Right,
get an idea on that.
Yeah, and they should be able to give you an estimate, but they will. It is a big lot, and if you're talking about a subdivision, they need, again, to have those exact meets and bounds for every
Yeah.
lot that's created, which is,
Brendan,
yeah.
there's a time constraint also on subdivision in the ag conservation zone. So you're not allowed to you can subdivide once. And then you have to wait, is it 5 years or 3 years?
Oh, I forget, I have to check.
But there's a time limit.
Before you can do that again.
Okay, so because this is zoned agricultural and there is, if we were to put a structure, like take one piece of land out, 5 acres and put a house on it, can you only put a driveway through this property, or does that require a road? Cause we were looking at your zoning stuff and it was talking about class 5 roads and class 6 roads, and then if
Private
you
roads.
started private roads, and then if you started something, you had to bring it up to a class 5 road
Yeah,
from
so-
a class, so that sounded very expensive also.
For your purposes, there's really no difference between a driveway and a private road. A class 6 road is a town-owned road that is just not maintained by the town. And that's where that maintenance piece comes in, but if you have your access from those two abutting roads,
So we're on Orchard Road, we have a Wood Road access there, so is that a class 5 road because they plow it?
I'm not
Access,
familiar.
Orchard Road is a class 5 road,
Okay.
town maintains it.
Okay, and then if we put a driveway onto the property, that would be considered a class 6 road?
No, it'd just
That's a
be
driveway.
your own,
Driveway, okay.
access way.
Alright,
Unless you put in a road to serve a number of different
Places, yeah.
homes, then
Yeah.
then it's a private road and has to come up to class 5 standard.
Okay.
so this stone culvert that's on the property, we have talked with Kevin Fife, who I'm sure you all are familiar with, about the culvert. And he has said that at some point it's going to have to be repaired. He said one of the lentil stones, the big stone that goes across the center at some point, has either cracked or shifted, so he said like you wouldn't be driving heavy equipment over that. So when we did have the land forested, probably 4 or 5 years ago, everything had to go in up this way through the wood access road. So I guess my question, just as a planning board, is there ever any interest from this town's perspective to help assist with the culvert repair in any way, because it goes over Burnham Brook.
I didn't follow. So if it's a town road and it's a culvert under a town road, the town maintains its roads. If it's
No, it's
anything that's not a town road, those are all privately
Oh, okay,
maintained and
that's
everyone's,
what I thought.
yeah, responsible for
I
their,
just thought I would ask, because I didn't know if it, because of the Brook situation,
no.
that would have anything to do with it. I guess we're just trying to get some ballpark idea of cost, because there's 4 of us and we all have different ideas about how we would like this to some of us have different ideas on how we would like
Yeah,
this
so
to go.
I think most of the surveyors in the state, they work with a lot of like septic engineers, engineering firms who will do the septic plans. They work with a number of wetland scientists. Those, like the delineation of the wetlands and where the septic's gonna go, end up on their surveyed plan. So
Okay,
they, as a starting point, should be able to say, you know, here's how big your property is, here's a
Okay.
ballpark estimate, and you can sort of shop around and get an idea of
Okay.
what they might do.
things like test pits and stuff, is that required for if you were doing a building lot?
Yes,
Okay,
unless it's over 5 acres. If it's not over 5 acres, then the assumption is that the land, there's enough land to support a septic.
okay,
Under
but if you
5
had a
acres,
lot that was 5
the s-
acres or smaller,
The
then
state requires.
a test pit, okay. Alright, do you have any other questions?
No, I mean, I have a million, but probably this isn't the best.
Yeah, and we don't wanna take up your time, we
Oh, that's right.
wanna just come and just kind of ask some basic questions to kind of figure out where to start.
Yeah, and so the other thing just to keep in mind, in addition to what we do, is there's sort of oversight from other places. So if you're gonna impact wetlands, you end up needing state approval as well. Septic systems end up getting state approval as well. Driveway permits for that type of road would have to go to the Board of Selectmen, so there's some other things, and
There's
typically,
multiple-
yeah, if you come
It's
here.
not just coming to the planning board.
Right, and so we'll end up, you know, a normal application will have a condition that's you need to get all required state approvals, you know, you need to get a driveway permit, that kind of stuff, that we don't handle ourselves.
Okay,
Uh,
it's complicated,
Bridge repair will require permitting too,
yeah,
state permit.
yeah, well, we're not in any rush. We took one course from Kevin on how to build a stone wall, and
And that was enough.
that was not enough. So we thank you for your time, and does my sister have any questions? She's probably muted.
Hey, no, I'm good. I don't have any questions. I'm really glad I was able to get on here. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
My last suggestion is, I think we did like recently a 2-lot subdivision. You can take a look at the town of what they submitted for a plan and what they had on it, it might give you an idea, it's a much smaller lot, but that way you'll kind of see what the end
A
product looks like.
2-lot subdivision.
Yeah, it was on Northwest Road, and so I think the town could show you that, you'd see what
You just
their
ask them
application
and they'll
looked like.
show it to you?
Yep.
Okay, perfect, thank you so much, we really appreciate your time.
Really don't.
Outside or?
Oh, hey, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate that I could zoom in because I planned to be there in person, but things happen. So thank you.
No problem, thank you for attending, Cheryl. Alright, next up is continuation of 114 West Road, Hildreth Farm subdivision. We did receive a request from the applicant to continue to October 28th. I think before.
I say they do could be
Yeah.
not here.
Before we act on that, and probably what I should have done last time is just, it is still a hearing, it's a continued hearing, so open up the public comment if there's any comment, and then if there's none or whatever, then we can move on to voting on continuation, so. Any problem from the rest of the board if we go to public comment first? Anyone from the public want to speak to 114 West Road? Alright, do I have a motion to continue 114 West Road to October 28th at 7 PM?
I will move to continue.
I'll
I
second,
assume that we have time on October 28th for that.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good question. We had, wasn't there a bunch of stuff stacked up?
I think
But we have
do we have
discussion.
another
What's that look like?
5:30? So now it's moved and seconded, yeah, we can discuss.
Yeah.
I don't know if Cal has a list of what's on currently, but I think that's when we need to have the
You got a thing at 5:30.
second 5:30.
Then, for 7 o'clock, you've got your regular meeting, but I
I don't know of any
don't think
applications,
there's
right?
any applications, I think it's just continuing your discussions about warrant articles and
Okay,
other administrative stuff. So you got time.
alright. Any further discussion of the motion to continue to the 28th? Alright, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion continue passes. Alright, next up, we have begin review of the 2026 budget. And good, there's a copy for everyone. What's my back of the napkin math as we were looking at like 14,200 was the budget for the year and we're at 13,800. With most of that being wages and legal and advertising. I did mention what Cal said, we have 1,276 in application fees received so far.
Whoa.
So that does offset most of the advertising and printing, or postage, I should say. But,
I have a question about advertising. We talked about not doing the Concord Monitor anymore. Is that reducing our cost?
Yes, so the three items that were included in advertising so far this year are the notice for the warrant article hearing in January. And then there were two notices for 114 West Road, but that, I remember correctly, that was for the regional impact, which was kind of a special case and we
Right.
didn't charge extra for it. But generally, in a regular year, it would only be one advertisement in the Concord Monitor for that warrant article hearing. So, the 250 would have covered everything, if it wasn't for the regional impact thing.
and so it looks like most of these are right on, with the exception of legal, and advertising's above, but we're essentially recouping some of that anyway, and we have those special cases. I don't see a big need to change any of these lines, but I'm happy to go through them one by one if anyone sees a particular one or thinks overall should change.
Secretary wages should be increased.
So this is through 10/1, so we're short, oh, I guess that's short 3 months really.
So that should
Was
probably
that
be around.
1,300, so 5,300 is what we're on pace for. And the last 2 years, we were also over
Way over.
6,000 and then 11,000.
Yeah. One of those years you had Lois going out, so you had double secretary, one of those
That was
years.
2024, I believe.
Okay.
Well, that's,
So I think if I'm doing that right, we're approximately on pace for 5,300 for the calendar year. This is calendar year figures, right? Okay, which would be pretty close to the 2023 budget of 5,500.
Yeah, I don't know what the 2024 budget was thinking with that. There must have been some reason for,
I have a note about where that number came from.
of course you do.
There are 24 meetings, regular planning board meetings in a year. And I think the math was done for a secretary at $20 an hour and 4 hours per meeting. I think that's where the 2,500 came from, but realistically, it's probably more like 5 hours per meeting because there's a lot of meetings that go like 2.5, 3 hours. And then there's additional meetings, so like this year, there have been some subcommittee meetings. Last year, there was a lot more meetings because of the master plan stuff going on.
And then presumably extra time to complete the minutes.
And extra time to complete the minutes, and then there's also, we're not paying $20 an hour anymore. Currently Michelle makes $20.80 and I make $24.88. So if we were to both get the 4% cost of living raises, which have been given out in the last few years to all employees, but that's not guaranteed, the budget committee and select board decide that, then that would put us up to $21.63 and $25.88. So if we do 24 meetings at 5 hours per meeting for the more expensive wage of $25.88, that's $3,100 in a year. So theoretically, this budget should cover that, but it just.
Yeah, theoretically it should, but it seems like realistically, it's not
So
been.
has printing, has like town administration just basically been absorbing our printing costs? I know you're pretty good about printing sort of the minimum that we need, and we try to share on a lot of the documents.
That printing line is more for like when it's time to print the nice copies of the master plan, that's what that line would
I
go
see.
to, like the regular agendas and stuff just get absorbed
Okay.
into the office supplies at the Sand Lake House.
So did we decide what the 2026 secretary wages budget line should be?
So I could see moving it back to 5,500 seems to make sense over the last few years. And then I think it makes sense we can look at maybe some of these other ones that we either haven't been using and see if we can reduce some of them to try to keep us closer to flat overall.
Yeah.
If that works. So if we go one by one on printing, do you see, like, if, you know, we're moving past master plan piece, any issue with that coming down? And we'll leave some in the line item in case we need to do something as a one-off, but if we're not paying for regular printing, I don't know that we need $250 annually in there.
Probably not annually, I don't know how much the printing is gonna cost. Once you guys finish this last chapter and are ready for like printing, cause we
So
haven't done that yet.
I guess maybe I can understand it. So Mike Tardif is going to print, I think it was 4 or 5 nice copies for the town.
He's gonna print them?
Yes.
Okay, then
Were you planning on doing more than that, or that was the ones that you were kind of envisioning? But I think that wouldn't cover sewer, so we'd want, you know, to print some nice copies of the sewer chapter.
So they're not gonna print it with the new with the latest
I think they're just
chapter?
Printing the existing
They're
one
printing
that
the
passed that was
existing one?
enacted.
Okay,
And then, you know, we're still working on sewer, but I can see us,
okay,
you know, creating a small separate one that just goes with it, something like that.
okay, and I know that you've been talking about doing like rolling chapters and like considering like revisiting one every year or so. So if you do that, then the printing will get a little weird because
Yeah.
it'll be.
I mean, we'll
And
see
that's
that for a
fine.
little bit, and then, you know,
Just-
eventually maybe that's just individual ones.
Okay.
But in fact, most people would look at it on the website, I would think.
I think that's true. And it's only a few copies, and if it's
Well, we should have
$100, I
copies.
would hope could cover 5, like 10 to 14 page chapters.
I have no idea, but I would like to
But I
get
know
that to-
personally, I was hoping someone would just shout in their confidence.
It's gonna depend
Yeah.
entirely on like how you have it bound and that
Okay.
kind of thing, but I would think so.
Okay, well,
Like,
any opposition to lowering this for 250 to 100 for 1 year, and we can revisit next year if it turned out that it cost more than that to do the master plan, we can
Yeah.
bring it up.
I mean, like, I feel like if it becomes an issue, we go, look, we didn't use the budget at all the last
Right.
3 years.
So you said
I
down
would-
to
From
100?
250 to 100
Got it.
for now.
For
And
printing,
for printing. Supplies looks pretty close to on, but it was higher the last 2 years. Do you know what were the supplies that was covering?
I'm pretty sure a lot of that was for the listening sessions you did for the master plan, so
Gotcha.
like pizza
Pizza.
Okay,
primarily.
so we have 800, 800.
Don't do pizza again.
Yeah, it enticed a few people.
Yeah, it was around like $120 to $130 every time we got pizza, so.
Okay. It,
Was it like 4 times, maybe, 3, 4 times?
Yeah, probably at least that when we were doing it differently.
so we're under this year, we're over the last two. Any problem, the rest of you keeping that the same or going down a tiny amount? And see how do we even get to revisiting one chapter in the next year?
I think keeping it the same would be fine, I think.
I don't think I have a strong feeling about not keeping it the same,
Yeah.
so that works for me. Rich, Greg,
Might
any thoughts?
drop it to what, 5?
Was saying we could go from 800 to 600 and like start small, see what it's like, and if we're not using it for the one chapter next year,
Yeah.
we can revisit or we can come back up.
I think,
Would that work for you, Logan? 600?
Yeah, I'm,
I think you can go down to 5, but yeah, whatever.
All right.
you don't wanna go down too far and then have to explain why we need more money in some future year when we actually need it.
Planning board equipment. Are
Is that
this
laptop?
type of
Is that what
equipment
usually is?
separate from planning board, or is that more of like,
That microphone was free.
oh, nice.
Greg is correct, the last thing it was used for was to buy a new laptop.
Okay.
Which I think is now the land use administrator laptop, so, and right now, it's the administrative assistant laptop, so you guys don't really have a separate one, and I have been trying to like hoard extra laptops as they come
Okay,
across my
so that
path,
feels
so
like
that
a-
you don't have to buy new ones, so you probably don't need it.
So leave it at 100?
That's probably safe.
I think that's probably fine, cause I imagine that the year that you got the laptop, you spent more than 100, and I know
It was
it's a year budget, but
the $230 under the
Okay.
2023 actual, that's how much
gotcha,
I find good deals.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've bought a computer in a very long time, so I'm in the dark here.
That's a very inexpensive computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
The
is.
town should be grateful for Cal's budget, computer shopping skills.
Alright, I'm good leaving that as 100 and then seeing if any, we don't know how long that'll last, but that keeps the line open and it's not particularly high compared that it used to be at 500. And this is the first year we dropped it to 100. Planning board seminars, which is a lot of the New Hampshire Municipal Association seminars and other trainings, which is
It's
somewhat
always hard to get people to take advantage of it.
and unpredictable, since any new elected member could choose to, well, anyone could choose to take advantage of them.
I think I went, when, was it in 24 when we did the road less traveled?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good ones, but you never know when they come out either, so.
I'm good leaving that there, particularly as new people join the board and wanna get caught up. And changes in law,
Yeah.
particularly with the wild legislative session. Alright. Legal expenses, do you know, was that historically that there was a town legal expenses, not a
Yeah,
planning
it
board,
was
and that's why
always-
that
Yeah,
sort of got split out?
Yeah, brand new to this year.
How has the town's spend on legal expenses as a whole gone?
Let me run that up.
Well, is that different than professional services?
Yes.
Yeah,
2023, 20,000 on professional services, what was that about?
Wasn't that a bunch of the master plan work through central New Hampshire?
no, cause Central New
Yeah,
Hampshire
Central
Planning has
New
its
Hampshire
own
Planning
line.
is a separate line.
I know it,
Nope, so I'll come back to that, cause I have a detailed list of everything from that.
great,
For the legal, the overall town budget is 10,000, so far this year, that line has spent $10,110. Last year, it was $23,865, but in July, I think, last year is when the select board implemented a policy that all consultation with legal has to go through Ken, because there were questions going to legal that like maybe could have been diverted through other avenues. And so that's what we've been trying to do more of this year. And it looks like we've been moderately successful, since we're only 110 over budget, but we do still have,
And so that's not
3 months
including the
left.
planning board portion where we went
that is
over.
not including, so the planning board
Okay.
portion is reflected here.
Okay.
So, and then for those expenses, it's kind of weird, in QuickBooks, it says that $713 of that is to cover expenses from December 2024. 792 is from January 2025, and 1,080 is from February 2025. So you guys used it in December, January, and February, and then not much after, so that's probably all from the warrant articles when you were trying to
What?
trying to craft the language and like get approval from.
Didn't we also have a hearing around that time? Wasn't that the Wyven Road subdivision as well? I'm trying to remember. I mean, part of the problem is predicting because applications drive legal questions when we need
Yeah.
help figuring out how to respond, and
Yeah.
when you get into tricky spots there, which is not regular but does need something in the budget.
Feels like
Also-
this falls into the category of we can make a budget for it, but it's hard to predict what it's actually going to be.
Right. We'll pause on that for a second. You said you had an explanation of professional services and
Yes, we do. So, the line that says Central New Hampshire Planning, those are the dues that we pay just to be a member of Central New Hampshire Planning. The professional services includes, any,
The cost share on the grants.
exactly, so that year that it says, it shows 20,000, what it doesn't reflect here is the offsetting line, which was the grants that we got. So in 2023, we got $10,530 in grants, and in 2024, we got $9,320 in grants. So like 90% of that appears to be covered by grants, so it's
Is there a way we can show that better on the spreadsheet so it doesn't,
so this is an issue that is a larger thing because there's many departments that get income and that income greatly offsets. So like the fire department, they went 80,000 over last year or something on one of the lines because they got a $70,000 grant for hoses. So I have yet to come up with a good way to show that, except for also having the revenue information available so that whenever people ask questions, I can answer it right away and be like, it's all good, it's okay, it's not a big scary number, but it's not actually scary. In the town report, we do have a line for estimated offsets, so that when we know like details that police and fire do, we know that we get that income back. So we try to reflect that right in the expenses to try to help people understand that, but we don't really have a line for offsets that actually happened. So that is something I was gonna try to experiment with this year on the town report, is maybe adding another little line or something so that we can see, like, okay, the planning board spent 20,000, but it says directly next to it that 19,000 came in a grant. Just because you're right,
that would
this
be
is
really helpful for everybody that's
Yeah,
looking at it.
so
yeah.
and maybe this is more for Greg, but outside of master plan, when we're looking at the professional services, were there instances when we were using professional services like separate from that, or is this a place where we should be looking to cut back going forward? Like potentially bumping up legal so there's a bigger budget for when things happen, like moving that to 25, but lowering professional services from 5,000 to 2,500 or something like that.
When we get the grants, the copay is required, so
So I looked back at every expense that's ever been in the professional services line to try to get an answer for that, and you have stuff in here from previous years of this is where the legal expenses were going to sometimes on different
I see.
cases, and this is also where like back in 2006, you consulted with Ares Engineering. But now, a new thing for this year is that you can make an escrow account, which is what you've done for
West
the
Road.
114 West Road. So if we hadn't done the escrow account, then this line would reflect the.
Because the town's paying out of pocket and waiting to be reimbursed.
Exactly, so now that you have the escrow account, this line shouldn't be reflecting those expenses for applications, so
Well, that's some big progress there, the two things, getting the legal budget here, a line item in the legal and the escrow account thing, it's a significant progress.
so that's more data, but it doesn't really answer.
Yeah, well, I guess it's fair, I mean, ultimately it becomes a bottom line budget, and having professional services there, which occasionally the board has needed, but which also can help offset a bad year where we need more legal, is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I guess I could see shifting the combined budget for those two is 6,000, but if you shifted it to like 2,500 in each, that helps cover some of the increase for secretary wages. It seems to be pretty consistent with at least this year where we're at, while leaving some room for, you know, needing more legal next year or the year after.
Well, you're dropping printing, you're dropping
Yeah,
supplies. So there's a little bit there. So if you combined professional and I mean, even if you went professional and legal, you could drop them down to 3,000 each.
that would be, yeah, no change.
Right,
We could
no
do,
change,
we
so
could do
if you
that.
wanted to go down to 2,500, that would be bottom line.
Alright, when do you need this by?
I was hoping to get an answer by the end of the month, so you could talk about it more at your next meeting.
That next meeting may also, you know, we have an application now in that meeting and we'll be starting at 5:30, so I could see not wanting to be here till 9 talking about budget. Okay,
This is, just so you know, like, this is a draft, like,
Yeah.
if something comes up later that you're like, oh, we forgot about this, it's really important. And it's also a draft in that the select board and the budget committee will be looking at this later, and they're gonna change things if they feel that they need to change things, so I wouldn't stress over it too much.
alright, where was this?
I would say with that in mind, the adjustments that we've already discussed seem sufficient to the immediate need.
So I think the adjustments that we discussed would be either changing professional services from 5 to 3 or 2,500, and legal up to either 2,500 or 3. And then lowering, what were the two? Printing to 100, and the other one that's going down 200 is supplies from 800 to 600.
Yeah.
And then increasing secretary wages from 3,500 to 5,500. So I think where there's that 2,000 jump, at least my preference for now would be lower professional services and legal expenses a little bit, so putting them both at 2,500, so that offsets some of that. And that's only, I think, 600-ish more than last year. And then we'll see what the selectmen and the budget committee do with it.
Do we need a motion for that, or is
I
I think it's just, you consult with us, and then it's technically the select board that is preparing the budget, right, and then it goes to the budget
Yeah, and
committee.
there'll be public hearings and stuff,
Right.
then it's a long process, so thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
consultation consultant?
Alright. Oh, let me find out my master plan. lose my chapter.
One thing, if you wanna add it to your agenda for today, one other thing we can talk about is the checklist.
Okay. Why don't we do the master plan first so we don't lose track of that?
Yep.
And that gives us plenty of time.
Is there a new version of this?
No, I was just trying to find my notes from the last one. I have, Rich's notes
I
somewhere.
have, a few extra copies. I got 3 extra copies if people can't find.
I will take it for
What is it?
This is the
It's the draft that you,
Yeah.
draft.
And I have extra copies of the edits I was proposing,
yeah,
if you
how
don't
did I
have
lose
that.
mine? Oh, nope, I found it. Alright. Alright, so this is the place we left. So we went through
We get to the graphic.
9.3, I believe, and then
Yeah.
we finished 9.4, or did we not finish
No, we
9.4?
did not
Okay.
start it.
So I'll put the Aries report too. Where are you? How do I spell Aries?
ARIES, I think.
Wait a second. Either way, alright. So looking at this one, and we've got the current location, are there any, does anyone have any suggested changes to account for, or how we incorporate the Aries report, and where it listed out a number of different things that could be considered? And I guess we could revise this in a way that it's listing out some of those, as in the town has some different options that were like listed in this report. We could sort of incorporate that report by reference, which just, the town had this report commissioned and had, identified a number of concerns and a number of potential options for the town to consider, and not really get into the details of, right, because this is just a plan, and if our plan is we want to make sure that we have available transfer station and a clean, safe way to dispose of waste in town. We don't have to necessarily tell people that our plan is to do it in a particular way, since a lot of that's gonna come down to a town meeting vote for a lot of that. So open to thoughts or suggestions for what's the best way potentially to,
We do have an
Address it.
appendix in the,
Yep.
and the full report should go in the appendix, I would think. And then, we reference it somewhere in here saying, look in the appendix, so and so forth, and then are there specific items from the report that we wanna call out?
I think probably the recommendations. And other than that, I think Greg's ideas are good with. Just attach the report in full and have it available for people to read.
the one conclusion from that report that might be worth, like in the current location, is we've got this line that Rich had, which is good, which is we have the current site, it's 6 acres, but updated to this is how much that, you know, according to the areas report, there's this area that we should be able to use without disturbing the ground.
Right,
Change that part, but otherwise, you know, sort of so I can come up with some language for,
yeah, and the areas report includes a map, even, you know, showing those portions, so.
so something like in 2025, the town commissioned, we'll list their company name, to change any of this, but basically to review the site and identify what uses could be made of the current site and provide recommendations for options the town could consider going forward, something to that effect. To review the site, identify it's fair to say identify environmental concerns and make provide a list of recommended options for how the town can meet its solid waste needs going forward. And again, tweak all of this as much as you want. I'm just trying to get a sentence in place so that we can have a discussion. Needs in the future. Alright, I'll read that back and you can strike anything you want or make, but in 2025, the town commissioned Aries, and we'll get there, whether it's Aries Engineering, to review the current site, identify any environmental concerns, and provide a list of recommended options for how the town can meet its solid waste needs in the future.
Rather than recommended, I would say it'd be various options,
Possible,
possible number of
Or you can say,
possible
and
options or
provide-
whatever.
And identify environmental concerns and provide options for how the town can meet its solid waste needs in the future.
Yep.
A copy of this report is attached in the appendix.
Excuse me, Brendan, are you entertaining comments from the?
Definitely,
from the
it's,
town?
yeah, not a hearing, so.
The only comment I would say is that it's, as opposed to the town just commissioning it, that it was voted at town meeting to spend the money to commission this.
Okay.
Because it wasn't just us deciding, the town weighed in, which I think
Could we
might be
say
important.
pursuant to a 2024 warrant article,
Yeah,
the town hired, and then same thing, Aries, and then the rest going forward.
It's a good addition.
If you're done with that, I've got one on the, we're keeping the annual water quality testing line in here, I'm assuming. But we need to massage it, this doesn't read well, annual water quality is conducted. Well, I don't know how to conduct water quality, then it talks about, so we're saying annual water quality is tested, right?
Probably intended to say testing is conducted.
You can say annual water quality testing.
Testing is conduct, that's a good one.
Yeah, just add the word testing after quality.
Yep, that works for me.
Dedicated test wells and surface sites. I added.
Just struggling to find the report in my email, it's killing me. But either way, I think for purposes of scheduling, we can update the acre piece after, since that's just finding that information. Alright, annual water quality testing. minimums,
Dedicated test wells and surface sites, there's 3 surface sites at there.
decimals. So you're adding and 3 surface sites.
What is this illustration on this page meant to portray?
Wheelabrator,
Okay,
I mean, it's similar to it.
Do you think we could get a picture of the transfer station for posterity's sake? Might be fun in the report just to have.
I'm not on the committee anymore, so.
Well, I don't
Maybe
mean,
a
I don't mean
select
like the committee, I
representative.
meant the planning board, like, this is our master plan chapter.
Uh-oh.
We just take a picture,
Of the transfer station?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Cal, you have a way to edit this, right?
Yeah,
This,
I can put whatever picture you want.
yeah,
But this is kind of a canned graphic that doesn't,
Yeah, it just might be like, it's a
Yeah.
good point, Logan, and it might be a nice
I just-
personal touch to have a picture
it
of our
clearly
transfer
doesn't
station.
represent our transfer station, so like, if we wanna represent Wheelabrator, we might wanna, I don't know, label it that way, but I think it would be better to have a picture that represents our transfer station.
Yeah,
It'd be cool to run a drone up over the transfer station, get an aerial view, but that's probably not like a high priority.
I think down at the bottom where it's talking about Wheelabrator and the tipping fees and stuff, I think that's the connection
I
there.
see, yeah.
Sure, but like somebody who, you know, happens to look at this for 50 years in the future isn't
Right.
gonna know that.
Alright,
So 2 options, one, label it Wheelabrator, another put in a.
Well,
picture
I
of
think
the
we're getting
transfer
way ahead of ourselves. Get back to the paragraph and go through.
fair enough. I think, Scott, did we start this paragraph, cause I think I recall that line, clean brushes collected and burned in a pit under the direction of the fire department and station manager.
Correct.
And that was one that was not under the direction, it was of the fire department? Is that
Nope.
yours?
Fire department doesn't really get involved.
Okay,
I'm sorry, can I interject?
yeah,
If you're putting in a lot more information at the end about the feasibility study, you're not going to have much room on this page. So you may very well want to really simplify the current location paragraph. Because I don't think people really need to know that it's collected and how it's burned. You know, the people, just that it is. So my suggestion would have been to take out, current location, it sits atop a temporarily capped landfill, period. Take out the rest of that sentence. Annual water quality is conducted in the dedicated test wells, yes. Staffing includes station manager and an assistant with help from the highway department as needed, period. Baled and recycled material is currently stored in a collection of trailers, period. Clean brush is collected and burned, period. There is no
Yeah.
space, at this time dedicated to composting leaves, and you don't
What-
even need that because that's,
yeah, I mean, another alternative to those last 2 sentences is we could provide a list of what currently is allowed at the transfer station, which is like, bagged waste, and then the following recyclables and brush, and then you could have a list of what's currently not allowed. For example, some of the big ones people ask about, like the paint cans that you were talking about.
I think you're gonna be
The
cramped for
compost leaves.
space.
A list
Without
of
a list.
allowed
Yeah,
items
that's
is
a big
actually
list,
pretty
yeah.
extensive, I have one taped to my refrigerator with all this like
We say
fees for things.
not exhaustive.
Just about the
But yeah,
location,
fair
not
enough.
about the,
So if that's the
but that's
case,
just me.
and if those are the only 2 that we're kind of talking about that are what can or can't be submitted, we could just cut those,
Yeah,
to your point, those 2 lines, or 3 lines, 2 sentences.
Is the sentence that begins space to store baled and recycled materials gonna remain?
I think it probably makes sense to include something to the effect of,
Okay.
there is limited space at the
Yeah,
site
no
to
issues
store.
except the word baled is misspelled. It should be
That's an excellent point.
B-A-L-E-D.
So as a lawyer, it looked totally right to me, I was like, bail, we do that all the time.
That's what- Exactly. And it's also misspelled in the upgrades paragraph.
In the upgrades, oh.
Yeah.
But then under new challenges, that's BALED, okay, so there it is. Okay,
Yeah, cause it's bail as in hay bale, not bail as in bail out.
Yeah.
That was probably AI's fault, autocorrect.
Well, it would like the AI version, right? Be AI, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's autocorrect. Autocorrect
What?
is the first AI.
Oh, yeah, I'm just trying to make the AI's in the word joke. Assistance from the highway department, what is that assistance? Like, is it something that is
Labor.
important enough that we're
Yeah.
keeping?
Labor.
Okay.
I think it's probably worth keeping
So, like, could we change
largely
it
on the
to-
basis of, like, staffing is overall an issue. And, sort of illustrating that staffing is an
Okay, what?
issue,
I was gonna think,
might be
just
worthwhile.
to make it clear to someone like me, that the highway department provides additional staffing as needed. So it's clear that the assistance there-
Equipment used for the transfer station, like the payloader and stuff, isn't that used sometimes?
No, I think that's a dedicated for the transfer station. They may take it off occasionally, but.
Well, they use it for,
Loading.
in the winter to load sand.
Sand.
That's the whole reason why
But I think it
they
stays.
wanted the highway to stay there with their sand, because they needed the loader. If they put this loader, the sand in a different spot than the transfer station, then you need two loaders, so you're running a loader down the road.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so any concern changing that one to then, if it's primarily staffing, the highway department provides additional staffing as needed?
This seems fine.
That's fine.
Do we want to change that next sentence to focus more on the site overall has limited storage? Or leave it as space to store baled and recycled materials limited and,
Yeah, that last half of that sentence could be cobbed off to say that space to store baled and recycled materials is limited.
I like that, yeah. Okay. On the next paragraph, upgrades, the most recent upgrades to the transfer, add the word station.
Wood
My
station
copy
is
says-
in my,
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I have an older one then.
Mine
It was
doesn't.
already caught.
I did, when I made this other draft, I did go through and take the liberty of correcting a couple typos.
Got it.
Okay, so we're using one that doesn't have station and,
I added the station, I guess,
You missed
but I missed
Baylor.
Baylor, not surprised, I don't know how to spell.
So,
it looked right in my Microsoft Word, cause Baylor is, it didn't get, when I said BALER, it underlined it, said, no, you gotta check that.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, Brendan?
I was just trying to think if it's worth, like, maybe in my first sentence, they point out that, the transfer, the town is constantly evaluating the transfer station equipment and determining when repairs or upgrades are needed or something like that. Just to point out that there's more than just what was recently upgraded, and it's sort of an ongoing burden for the town is looking at those pieces, but maybe not having to get into that detail, or probably fine as is. I'm just
Saying the most
brainstorming here.
recent, I think,
Right.
tells you that this isn't something, some big surprise, it's something that is continuing.
Well, I think at the time, the feeling was that the transfer station was this red-headed stepchild that, trying to get. They had eight goals,
Yep.
and I picked objective 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I picked 5 out of their 8, cause I left ones like that they had ensure adequate capacity for New Hampshire generated waste, I left that, I didn't include that in ours, ensure
That
that
doesn't seem
solid,
like our problem.
solid waste policy and regulations support state and federal environmental justice initiatives, I left that one out, but I incorporated 5 of the 8 goals the state had identified. So that's what those are.
Gotcha.
In my copy, the first objective is underlined and does not have a number, and then I have 4 objectives. Is that how,
No, objective 1,
objective
and
1,
those are goals.
okay, so it doesn't say goals. Oh, there it is, it says goals there. I don't know, I find that confusing, but,
That's the way they formatted it.
yeah. Now that you've explained it to me, I understand it, thank you.
At the top, I edited the top. So where it says, objectives and recommendations, it says to continue to deposit money, I had changed that, and I had put continue to fund a capital reserve fund to prepare for eventual landfill capping. Consider funding in an additional capital reserve for new site investment and equipment purchases. Plan and conduct hazardous waste collection events. Or biannual hazardous waste collection events. Is what I suggested for changes at that very first paragraph.
The only thing I would say is that new site investment at the moment doesn't sound like it's in the plan. But we do have a capital reserve fund for equipment purchases. I don't know for still fund, we didn't set up a cap reserve for a new site, so I don't think that's accurate at this point, but otherwise,
But we do for capping, is that correct?
we do.
Yeah.
We do for landfill capping and equipment purchases, but no longer, we don't have one for site investment.
So instead of setting it for a new site, say something like, let's say,
Okay,
for,
could we change it to be like just sort of a more broad goal, which I think reflects that there are a lot of options, and what the one thing the town has to do is evaluate those, which is continue to evaluate the adequacy, safety, and financial
Yeah.
feasibility of the
Yeah.
current site and potential alternative sites, and just leave it at, know that this is ongoing, we're gonna continue to be looking at it. And if that's the first line, the second one can, of those, I think worth mentioning though is continue to contribute or
To fund
continue to fund the capital reserve fund for eventual landfill capping, and just have those 2 sentences, which is big picture. We need to keep looking at this.
That sounds right.
so can you repeat that?
So the first sentence would be continue,
To fund,
or the town needs to continue to evaluate the adequacy, safety and financial feasibility of the current site and potential alternative sites.
safety and feasibility.
So then after that, you wanna keep, continue to fund the capital reserve fund to prepare for eventual landfill capping.
Yeah, I think you can take out the second fund. Continue to fund a capital reserve.
I can make it a count, that way it's not redundant.
Yeah, and the hazardous waste collection events, I think can probably be cut because that's in one of the
It's an objective too.
objectives, yeah. There it is. Objective 2.
So that'd be. Okay.
So,
And then a stylistic suggestion is just change the bullet points to not have numbers, just because we have a whole, 3 of them that just have like 1 bullet point. And that's purely the, looks odd to me to see number 1 of 1.
yeah,
you gotta look back at how that format is in our master plan.
Oh yeah, very well could be there too.
I think that, I'm not sure.
It may be in other
But,
locations.
or maybe just
or-
say, check the master plan to see if there was a consistent formatting and use whatever that formatting is.
That may be what
I
this
think
is.
that might be what the formatting is.
And if that's the case, I
Um,
wouldn't deviate, you can ignore.
Yeah,
I mean, I would love to fix that,
Well,
but
This is its own chapter, so does it really
it's
have to
it's the
follow?
start of the future, yeah.
are we allowed to make like minor changes like that to the already approved master plan, or is?
We probably could, but if the goal is to do chapter, cause it's not substantive, but like,
Chapter a year,
yeah, chapter
yeah.
year, we would be
Okay.
taking it up so we can sort
be
of
changing.
set the format for the
chapter can
future.
set the-
I feel like
yeah,
a great
exactly.
goal would be to hire a professional graphic designer to do this properly at some point, but
Cal,
that's
I
like-
think you can take
a whole other
creative
animal.
license, because this is gonna be your first chapter that the town is gonna do on its own.
If that's the case, I'm making a new Word document.
Nice. Sorry, I have so many
Fuck the
templates at work
power.
that have banned my existence, so like, you do whatever works for you, cause then we can use that as the template going forward.
Before we go too much farther, if we took that hazardous waste out of that initial paragraph, can you go down to objective 2, the first bullet, and put a biannual collection? Before I lose that.
Biannual, twice a year, or every 2 years?
Every two,
I think it can be both.
yeah,
That's why I
or either, well, we could say.
I do
every 2
a
years.
biannual report every 6 months, I think the only one that's always two is maybe biennial,
But yeah, biennial would definitely be every
Right.
2.
but I think bi and semi are both 6, but I don't know. I do my best to not use those words on purpose.
And it should be fired directly into the phone.
Yeah,
Do we wanna say biennial? Is that what's more clear?
I think he's saying he wants to go, say, every 2 years.
Yes.
that's clear
I
as.
think that is
Take
the,
out
Yeah.
periodically
clearer.
every 2 years.
I cannot speak with certainty that any one of them is correct, except for
Every-
every 2 years.
It removes the
Confusion.
confusion and,
It lowers the grade level necessary to read the document.
yeah, I think we went down to 9th grade on that.
Yeah.
Okay, first I gave you the objective 1 through 5, and the reason why I use that wording, do you wanna leave that?
I actually like them, and particularly when we added the overall, we need to continue to be looking at both the finances and the safety of the current site and alternatives. Then you have the objectives, which kind of speak to that, which is there's a whole bunch of different ways to minimize waste, which will, allow us to continue using the existing site, and lower our costs, and there's other waste, the waste diversion pieces, the where's another big one? And then funding, so I'm fine with all of those
Okay.
in that context, but if there's particular ones,
Actually, the only suggestion I would have is, objective 1, consider removing the word future, because I think it's actually a current state of New Hampshire goal.
so the state, I'm sorry, do we
Okay,
have to
yeah.
participate in the state surplus program?
Nope, not that one, sorry, the sentence above that begins, reduce the quantity of solid waste generated to align with future
Oh.
state of New Hampshire goals.
Why don't we just cut the two a line and just
Yeah.
reduce the quantity of solid waste generated?
Yeah, I'm with that,
That works.
that's good.
Simpler is better.
Now, these 4 goals are just things that I brainstormed and came up with. There's nothing, I can speak to them and explain any of them, but whatever you guys wanna put in there, it was more of just having different goals that were ascending, for the town to, for example, explore effort, that the last one, the Guilford and the styrofoam, that's already being done, so you can strike number 4.
Okay. Yeah. Rich, number 1, are you referring to the White Farm?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay. I think we participate already, don't we, Cal?
We do,
Yeah,
we go there whenever we need to purchase some furniture and stuff, I'm not sure. The thing is with the transfer station, Dave always tends to just find things that he needs, so he
Oh, it's
never-
amazing.
He
It's-
never requests like even copier paper,
Mm.
and I tell him like, you can ask for things, and he's like, no, I don't need to ask for things, and
right,
so. I'm sure if he did need something,
yeah,
we would check out White's Farm,
So take out consider and
We already
continue
are.
to,
yeah, there you go,
Participate in,
yeah. Or we already do,
yeah, well, that's, I'm saying,
remove consider and put
simpler is better,
continue to.
participate in.
Only because there's the future, but yeah. The last one on objective 5, I just noticed that the description, I think all of 1 through 4 start with like a verb, like do something. And that one's just funding sources, I wonder if it's, like explore alternative funding options or something to that effect. Like it's the command.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can change it, the goal in the state, I mean, I just tried to
Oh, I see, ensure.
ensure sustainable funding sources.
Well, and that makes sense for the state. I think our sustainable source is tax revenue.
How
And so
about-
maybe what people wanna see is, are there any alternatives that we can supplement,
Explore
tax,
funding
yeah.
sources.
explore additional funding options or
Yeah.
something to that effect?
I like that.
Sure.
Explore additional funding options.
You could even add, to minimize tax burden.
So if we could back up half a second, if I may be so bold, Rich, I would keep your number 4, explore efforts to recycle, collaborative efforts to recycle materials. Cause there's going to be other ones other than just Guilford and Foam. I think that's a good one, we don't know what they are, but I think that was a nice one.
So you're saying keep number 4, but
Keep
just
number 4, but just strike the end.
strike the,
Yeah, just
the
explore
last part.
collaborative efforts to recycle materials.
Valid. Are we done? Look at us go.
You left everything else? Oh. Hold on, I think I had some edits.
isn't Rich, objective 2, the second one, isn't batteries now, isn't the transfer station taking them?
Yes,
Did
they
you
are
do-
banned, they're
Yeah.
lithium ion batteries are banned in trash
Right.
in the state of New Hampshire because of fires,
Right,
because of
yeah,
trash trucks burning
Yeah.
up while they're collecting trash, all of a sudden they just spontaneously ignite
Do a little
and
exploding.
yeah,
it's a mess. I think, Cal, is there still something on our website, the band, that flyer that I had her put up?
I think we might have something at the transfer station too,
We've got
and
all the signs.
we've got little trifolds pamphlets in the front lobby, I don't know where they came from, but they're great.
yeah,
But I got rephrased that whole thing, cause there was a lot of different information that is all in that run-on sentence in number 2.
If you just left it at educate and publicize strategies for disposing of complex and possibly dangerous waste, leave it at that.
Simpler is better.
Works for me.
And you don't have to try and list everything and leave something out by mistake and.
Like,
Somebody's
Or-
yeah, and if we're on like a 10-year cycle on these things, by the time we come around to it again, we might be like looking at some new hazardous form of battery.
Yeah.
Hydrogen cells or
It won't be
whatnot.
10 years, it'll be 2 years.
Or
Whatever.
break that off, rather than striking, you could go such a, where it says which may contain goes, like maybe open parentheses such as and list them.
I'm fine with such as, it makes sense to me. I would only suggest after publicize, add the word safe. So educate and publicize safe strategies for disposing of complex waste such as, and then we can list some of those. I
Kind
think
of
it's,
word? Safe, okay.
but I like listing them personally because we have stuff at the transfer station, but not everyone knows everything that they shouldn't be including, and this is just another document that should remind them, hey, you shouldn't be putting latex paint and batteries in the trash.
So complex waste such as batteries, latex paint.
Yeah,
That's
just
what
let it
we're saying,
run,
yeah.
yeah. And then close parentheses at the end. Can we turn the page? No, yes?
Oh, I'm good. In my head, we were done with both pages.
That, the only,
Yeah.
second point under expanding the scope and efforts of the treasure house, broadening outreach capabilities, that whole paragraph to me, I find very complicated for basically saying, keep things out of the treasure house that could be reused, or keep things that we can't accept at the, advertise things that can't be used at the treasure house on a bulletin board for people to pick up, keep the last sentence, but that's just me.
That was an
It just seems
idea,
complicated, the idea is good, but the language I just find complicated.
Isn't there already a Facebook group,
A buy
Canterbury
nothing,
free,
yeah.
Recycle,
Free
yeah,
cycle.
whatever it is,
It's fairly active.
yeah,
It'd be like
one of the ideas that
explore,
I had was when we reopened the treasure house, was, the bulletin board in there was gonna be used for things that electronics or anything that, or any item that couldn't be brought to the treasure house,
yeah,
you could take and put an index card and put the index card on the bulletin
yeah,
board.
with contact info.
And that never got any traction,
Yeah,
so that's where,
Yeah.
yeah,
you just say explore options to improve the treasure house. And just, that's broad enough to be anything, so if people wanna explore different types of items in the future, or if they wanna find alternative ways to publicize it, that's all kind of included.
or just keep the, explore other ways of using items not accepted at the treasure house, such as electronic devices and bulky furniture. That the first sentence I just find
I
complicated.
see, so like
But the
separates
thought is
two
good.
is, one is, continue operating the treasure house to divert items, and the second is, explore options for items that aren't
We don't take,
Treasure house
accepted by the
good.
treasure house.
Don't stop there.
one of
Create a
the,
trash house right next to it.
Yeah, that's called the dump.
one of the dreams that I had was to get somebody that was retired, like a handyman, like a Mr. Fix-It or whatever, and to coordinate with the treasure house, stuff came in that was broken, just needed a little fixing, a little retooling, a little tweaking or whatever. Potentially that could be diverted from, the whole objective, this
Oh,
whole chapter
my-
is about,
Cynical phase was
Diverting.
more about my generation and wanting
Yep.
new trash, whereas most of my furniture is like hardwood antiques, cause it's actually cheaper than IKEA furniture.
yeah,
yeah,
and better quality.
Certainly better.
problem with IKEA and stuff like that press board, once it breaks,
Oh, yeah. Or
It's
gets wet.
unrepairable.
you can't fix it.
All,
And if it gets wet, it's toast.
yep,
Yeah.
So we're trying to simplify this sentence.
He wanted to simplify the paragraph and,
I guess into the two, so I think the two parts that are happening are, one is continue to operate the treasure house to divert items from being thrown away, and explore other options to divert items that are not currently accepted by the treasure house.
So objective 3 would have 2 goals in it?
Yeah, that it sort of acknowledges that one way the town currently is diverting is the treasure house, so we should keep doing it, and two, there's probably other things we can be doing to divert
And try to do more.
useful items from being thrown away.
Is Cal making those into sentences for us?
I'm waiting to hear consensus.
Yes,
and-
this is good, do it.
I don't care what other people like, I mean, I just put, I tried to specify rather than just kick the can down the road. I tried to be specific in the descriptions.
Yeah, but we aren't gonna solve all the problems of recycling or the transfer station or non-recyclable trash in this document.
Yeah,
We've just gotta, objectives, big.
and Rich, I think you have a lot of specificity in 9.1 through 9.4,
Okay.
which I think is great, and then the goals is more of like, big picture, what are we, the way I think of the goals is big picture, what are we trying to
fine.
do?
I'm
And
fine.
that's a great one, right, divert waste,
Yeah.
it's just,
You have
We'll just have the
consensus, Cal?
objectives be reduce, reuse, recycle.
You figure out what it is.
but then next to recycle, it's, were we tricked? Okay. Cal,
Number 4,
It's the Aries report, really.
yeah,
I guess
Explore
maybe,
the possibilities mentioned in the Aries report to ensure that we to provide greater storage capacity and space to achieve the goals.
I don't know
I mean,
that
if it's-
we want that to be specific to the
If it's-
Aries report
Yeah.
necessarily.
yeah, if it's on
Yeah, I think you're
capacity
right,
though,
yeah.
it's, I think part of it is, right, continue to evaluate the capacity of the current site and explore alternative locations with greater capacity, maybe that's, explore alternative locations with greater storage capacity.
How did you just reword that?
I think it was continue to evaluate the capacity of the current site and explore alternative sites with greater storage capacity.
Well, and if necessary, explore alternative sites.
I think, I mean, that's
Is the
sort of
plan-
explore doesn't mean like, go do it, just
I
like,
That's
yeah.
true, but.
you could say explore potential alternative locations with greater storage capacity, I'm fine with that too. But I think that is maybe a small change that shows there's two options, kind of what we got from Aries, which is you can, improve certain things, we are still limited on space,
Eventually, it's gonna be
But-
both, really.
yeah, and how long that saves us in the short term.
I mean, unless we're gonna start launching our trash into the sun, like limited on spaces. Kind of always a problem.
Well, corporations own space now, so you're in trouble.
You
Alright.
can
Trying to
Brendan's
stave
suggestion
off
on
seasonal
4.
depression here, Brandon.
You got it, okay.
Then we move on to 5.
Yeah. And he already offered explore additional funding options.
So like the header, and then,
Minimize tax burden.
Instead of funding sources, put explore additional funding options.
To minimize tax burden.
or,
That's
yeah,
what
Yeah,
we're doing now.
yeah,
I like that, and then I think the sentence is great, right, research potential funding sources.
That sentence can stay the same as what you're.
Yeah, I don't see any need for changes there.
Seems to me too.
Sounds good to me.
Oh,
At long last, the solid waste check.
So we need 10 days notice, I think, for the actual public hearing on this. And I wouldn't wanna do it certainly on the 28th, but we could do it the first or second November meeting. If that works for people, just put it on and then that'll give us time to publish the notice.
I think that's good, especially because, I think it'd be good if you guys had time to review again after I make the final draft, just in case I didn't accurately.
Yeah, we can correct,
we can
you know,
fail you.
minor changes, certainly at the public hearing portion, and then if there's nothing major that warrants a new hearing, we can just approve it at that meeting.
Alright, so I'll see about getting it on first November,
Okay.
but I'll talk to Michelle, because she knows what's upcoming better than I do.
Alright, any opposition to pushing off checklists as we're at
Well,
8:47, but alternately you can make a
What
pitch.
is- So what is
no,
the
it's gonna be
checklist?
quick, it's gonna be
Okay.
easy. Sorry, Cal, I didn't send them to you, I meant to. I will do it when I get home. They are done. We did all the edits, all the typos and everything. He inserted the pieces that needed to be reinserted. There was one minor correction that I sent back to him. Says content or something, he didn't take a word out. But they are done. The caveat is, they're not perfect,
And they never will be.
they never will be, but they are usable. And it's better than having nothing.
Yep.
And we can amend
It's-
them anytime we put it on the agenda that we wanna make a change after.
I'll be the first to say
application, yeah.
that these checklists are overkill. But it dots the i's and crosses the t's, and how we wanna use them as a board, and how, you know, if you wanna pare things down, but right now, everything that's in the LDRs is on these checklists, and they're broken down somewhat by uses. I think they could still be broken down some more, but, so we have site division, site plan, major and minor, subdivision, major and minor. And then we have a separate one that has, lot mergers, conceptual consultation and design review. So I gotta send them back to Cal, so Cal can send them to us.
Yeah, I think that would be good, and then we can have them posted for a meeting and on the agenda ahead of time, and if I don't know that we will get anyone, but if someone wants to come in and say, you know, these
Yeah.
applications are too much, and then we can discuss them and hopefully with a full board and adopt them.
Right.
So is that something that
Can we
needs
plan
formal adoption and
yeah, so I think any quorum of the board could vote to adopt them, but I'd like it to be more if possible. For now, if we don't have any hearings, I think the first November meeting makes sense, so we're not adding it into the middle of what should be a longer meeting on the 28th, and that'll give everyone time to read through. But we can try to make a plan too, that when we're done with a big application, we go back to whatever the form is and say, hey, what worked or didn't work. But thank you and Greg both for working so much on those.
They will be really helpful. There'll be line after line where you say that doesn't really apply. But it keeps you from missing something, and it keeps the applicant,
Yeah,
it helps everybody.
particularly for people who don't have legal counsel, so they read through as, oh, this is the information I need, and they have a better sense of what they're bringing.
My concern is that somebody, a layperson that doesn't have legal experience or whatever, the checklist might be overwhelming for them. That's one concern I have, is
Probably
that,
more overwhelming than the entire, like, ordinance though.
yeah,
Yeah, it probably
think
ultimately still falls on the town staff, cause they'll get the questions,
Yeah.
and then they can, hey, I mean, this is broken down, fill it out the best you can, if you think there's information that isn't required, you can provide an explanation, you know, explain the
fine,
waiver
yeah.
process, and hopefully that gets through most of it, but it's helpful, cause sometimes we have someone coming for a small subdivision, and sometimes we have big sophisticated applicants who,
This is gonna protect us
Wanna bring
if there's
this.
another
Yeah.
114 West Road. That's what these things will help us
alright,
in a case like that.
perfect, sounds good,
That's just short version.
thanks. Alright, any other business?
Motion to
Cool.
adjourn.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.